The palace built in St. Petersburg at the end of the 18th century hosted luxurious events of the epoch of Catherine the Great. Later it became a royal mansion. World's largest international exhibitions were held here. At the beginning of the last century, this building has been specially renovated for the sessions of the First State Duma of the Russian Empire. Today, this outstanding historic place hosts the Eurasian Women's Forum. Famous politicians, world leaders, parliamentarians, leaders of non-government organizations, scientists and scholars, cultural workers, businesswomen and men from more than 80 countries from all over the world came to St. Petersburg. The motto of the forum, towards peace, harmony and social well-being, as if life itself came up with this motto. The world of today faces a lot of tough issues, challenges and global threats. Among those, political and economic instability, infections and diseases, armed conflicts, increasing flows of refugees. Women standing for peace, stability, sustainable development must be heard. This goal unites participants of the Eurasian Women's Forum.
Сегодня женщин не в меньшей степени волнует международная повестка дня.
Women today are deeply concerned about what's happening on the international arena. And today, unfortunately, the situation is the most tense and complicated since the Cold War times. The world is dealing with very complex developments now, such as regional conflicts, civil wars, humanitarian catastrophes, refugee flows. And certainly, women cannot stay indifferent to all that, as more women enter politics and more women have an impact on public opinion. So it is through discussions that we would like to examine those issues, assess them, share our expertise with each other, and work out a common point of view, or an approach as to what women can do to make the world a calmer place.
Even though this forum is called Eurasian, it is in fact a global forum. In spite of political obstacles, among its guests, delegates from Australia, Asian, African, South and North American countries, representatives of most European states. They are elite of national women's movement, public influential figures well known at their home countries and abroad. Women who succeeded in life and career in all those spheres of life which traditionally were dominated by men, including politics and economics. The topics for discussion are close to every woman: family, health, child and motherhood care, environment, charity and humanitarian outreach. How to make this world a better place, how to secure it and make it more comfortable for living. These questions have been discussed at the plenary session Women in Today's World – New Horizons of Cooperation.
I think the Eurasian Women's Forum has two main goals: peace and development. It's only in the peaceful atmosphere where people, especially women, can feel happy. Nowadays, everyone's focused on the development of their economy and establishment of a happy future for our children. But to achieve that, we need to provide for solid peace. I'm expecting good proposals. The world is complicated today. These are very troubled times, and women are looking forward to good solutions and are ready to make proposals themselves. Proposals which had to influence men politicians. In fact, we face big problems today. I think the more women deal with politics, the easier we can possibly solve those issues which are so important to us.
It is women who play in society a crucial, leading, peacemaking and healing role, especially in regions suffering from armed conflicts. They assist and participate in peace talks, peacekeeping missions. They help to create an atmosphere of national and civil consent. Women help to restore social services destroyed by war. Women take care of the weak and wounded. Women continue teaching in schools.
Discussion of the key issues of today's agenda, considering new challenges. That is what we gather for. The role of women in modern politics, migration, refugees crisis, women in international tourism, global healthcare. Migration, for instance, has increased tremendously. Modern tourism, business partnership, cooperation among countries make us reconsider such issues as spread of infections. We have to find a new way to fight it. We have to confront a lot of new challenges. A woman, by God's will, performs two functions, both maternal and professional. To achieve professional results, a woman needs serious support on behalf of her family, society and state institutions. To maintain peace on the earth, men and women are to join their effort. A rather aggressive policy, conducted by some of the states, has led to the public demand of humanization of international relations, and women can undoubtedly play their crucial role in this sphere.
Finally, in the political sphere, it's extremely important that the voice of women, which is likely to be in favor of peace and stability because they are thinking about nurturing, it's extremely important that their voice is heard in the political sphere because, as you know, now in the world we have a new generation of wars and instability. We have desperate people moving across borders looking for safety for themselves and for their families. And the voice of women can be a very strong voice to find a way to resolve these through diplomacy, through negotiation, to restore the stability and peace, which is essential not only for women, but for all of humanity to have a decent life.
Eurasian Women's Forum indicates that the role of women and their participation in world politics, economics and social issues have significantly increased. But these are not the only issues that are important for modern women, said Valentina Matvienko, Speaker of the Federation Council of the Federal Assembly of the Russian Federation.
Women are more inclined to have a dialogue. They're natural at diplomacy and finding humane solutions. As not everyone approves of the artificial tension created today by a number of countries, in an attempt to preserve their hegemony and to impose their will on others.
How to preserve peace on Earth? This issue nowadays has returned to the global agenda. It is obvious that the relationship between Russia and the United States affects it. That's why it is so important that American delegates, including Sarah Harder and Joanne Kuryansky, managed to come to the EWF. In 1990, the two women took part in the Soviet-American Women's Forum held in Washington, D.C. The forum's resolution was delivered to both presidents, Mikhail Gorbachev and George Bush. The document appealed for extending people's democracy, humanitarian cooperation, cultural exchanges between the two superpowers, the USA and the USSR, and for softening the decades-long atmosphere of mutual distrust. Even nowadays, this appeal seems to be up to date.
In 1971, when Harder was expecting her fourth child, she requested 2 weeks off work for the birth, but was denied because the university's sick leave policy didn't cover pregnancy. She fought that decision, and her efforts led to changes in maternity leave policy throughout the United States. Since then, Harder became an activist in national and international women's organizing. She was elected co-chair of the National Women's Conference Committee and was a founding member of the National Council of Women's Organizations. In 2000, she became president of the National Peace Foundation. Sarah Harder works extensively for women's rights throughout the world.
The document that is drafted is beautiful statements, mostly reinforcing what the United Nations has agreed upon. But what is important to me is not words on paper, particularly beautiful abstract statements about we must, we must, we must. It is the question of how can we, in a practical way, learn to know one another, learn to figure out what we can make happen that we have not yet done.
Nevertheless, Russia and the US have positive agenda which needs to be worked over, said Valentina Matvienko. There have also been bilateral meetings with representatives of China, Kazakhstan, Serbia, Georgia and many other countries. Women's wisdom and intuition have always helped to solve serious problems in a soft, sensible manner. A woman brings peace, comfort and stability into relationships. Soft power is one of the topics for the Eurasian Women's Forum's panel discussion.
The obduracy that we see today in the world, the heavy-handed male approach in politics of some countries, create a public demand for a humanitarian side of partnership, for a diplomatic way of solving burning issues. And who else is more capable of dealing with that than women? It's rather obvious and clear that women are more likely to solve problems this way. And if it is a women's plot, its intentions are only positive. That is to correct men in their erroneous, sometimes heavy-handed politics, and make the world more humane, more socially oriented, and more stable.
President Vladimir Putin has sent a welcoming address to the participants of the EWF, where he expressed his confidence that the Eurasian Women's Forum will be endorsed as an effective tool for the multilateral humanitarian cooperation.
The country I represent opposes the ruin of the traditional values. It is the joint position of President Putin, the leadership of the country, the majority of the citizens of Russia. And we defend the values that the European culture and the whole civilization is supported.
For centuries, women have been responsible for keeping house warm and comfortable, caring of old and weak, as women bring warmth, love and happiness in this world. They come to keep this world safe, and it's crucial in the global sense of the world when international conflicts are ignited and millions of civilians suffer and innocent women and children perish. You know that 3 days ago, enthusiasts from 28 EU countries introduced sanctions against Ms. Matviyenko, and now Ms. Matviyenko cannot visit the European Union. I find it scandalous. I believe our forum should stand against that decision. Are sanctions, which do not allow Russian politicians come to Europe, legitimate? Many Europeans would agree with me. Another 6 months of sanctions for Russia is a huge mistake.
At the plenary session, a children's chorus performed songs popular in so many countries. The participants especially loved the well-known international anthem of peace, "Let It Always Be Sunshine." Pestilent diseases are among 3 basic causes of death in the modern world. In 2014, Ebola outbreak in West Africa took thousands of lives. Ebola is not the only threat. About 50 countries suffer from outbreaks of cholera. Doctors and epidemiologists encounter yellow fever in Africa and South America. Collaboration in healthcare, solving together problems concerning environment, joint efforts against drug use, these issues the EWF focuses on. Every single day, thousands of refugees from the Middle East seek asylum in Europe. The flow of people fleeing from violence and atrocities of the so-called Islamic State terrorists doesn't become less intensive. How can we stop this tragedy?
This crisis has highlighted enormous problems. Terrorists make us vulnerable. The established system of human rights protection turns out to be only a paper, or is used to pursue different political goals. It doesn't work in practice. Look how women who have fled from terrorism and civil war in the Middle East are now giving birth to their children in pedestrian subways of the most developed European countries and breastfeed them in the streets. Any international forum, especially such as Eurasian Women's Forum, is extremely important for Syria. It is not only the country with a hot geopolitical situation. It is a country which is facing humanitarian catastrophe, war, where women are raped and killed. I came here to tell the truth about this conflict. The situation must be changed.
Founder of a public movement in support of family values, Printemps Français or French Spring, Béatrice Bourget is sure Paris officials have much to learn from their Moscow counterparts. The matter of family values protection and opposition to expanding propaganda of homosexuality in particular.
Protecting traditional family values, Béatrice Bourget participated in demonstrations against the legalization of same-sex marriages in France. The French human rights activist appealed to the Russian citizens. I want to tell you we are inspired by the fact that there is a whole country that stands against it. I love Russia. I'm pro-Russian. Russia has recognized that family protection is a must for maintaining peace. Russians know very well what's important for the development of a personality. That's why they stick to conservative family values. The world is after money. We have lost our moral values, but we need to restore them as families based on moral values. That is the first thing which needs to be done.
Mercy is a part of women's nature. It is desperately needed in the modern world, perhaps needed as never before. That idea has been discussed at the Eurasian Women's Forum. Although we get accustomed to women's presence in politics and business, we men consider social issues such as motherhood, childhood, education, healthcare, family to be traditional parts of women's agenda. As an integral part of the family, we use the opportunity to join the discussion. 10% of the registered delegates of the Eurasian Women's Forum are men. I'm sure it's pleasant because men enjoy attending such a beautiful forum in such a wonderful palace. And being among this 10% minority is a great honor for those who was given an opportunity to take part in the forum. We have representatives of 80 countries here, and that's the proof of the fact that millions of people from all over the world are concerned by the topic of the forum and issues discussed here.
Like men, women want to be loved, to enjoy peaceful and happy life, and of course, they want to be successful in family, career and creative work. And if all these things can be fulfilled, it will make a woman happy.
The modern world is facing global challenges and threats. Women play a more active role in solving these issues. The EWF has shown that women of the world believe that the only way forward is through an open, constructive, honest dialogue involving not only politicians, but everyone who cares. The Eurasian Women's Forum is not only a great political event. It is held in St. Petersburg, one of the acknowledged world cultural centers. Participants of the forum had an opportunity to see it for themselves.
My first visit to St. Petersburg was in 1981. Then it was Leningrad. Oh no, it was in 1977. I'm a great admirer of the Russian ballet. I adore Russian great composers, Tchaikovsky, Prokofiev, Stravinsky. I've been to Mariinsky Old Theatre many times, and I've already had an opportunity to enjoy the new one.
I've really loved St. Petersburg. I'm sorry to say I like it more than Moscow. You know, of course, Moscow is an old city, but St. Petersburg is so nice. And I like the architecture of St. Petersburg.
We'll need to work with the heritage of the forum, with the ideas expressed and contacts established between Russian and foreign participants.
Evgenia Shurkina is an artist. She's a student of the Moscow State Linguistic University. She's also a winner of the Presidential Award among talented youth. At this forum, she represents a non-government organization, Children's Order of Charity.
Zhenya Shurkina is a talented artist, a young woman with a great willpower. She was born armless, but she managed to find her place in life. Now, Shurkina is a 19-year-old painter, and she has more than 200 outstanding works, which are exhibited both in Russia and abroad.
The status of a modern woman has changed dramatically in the last few decades. The events of contemporary history proved how crucial the women's engagement is for the socio-economic policy. Women politicians, women entrepreneurs, they above all demonstrate strong will and at the same time flexibility and self-perfection. A modern woman is a fighter. She won't simply have time to feel sorry for herself. The image of a modern woman is the image of a well-educated, intelligent, goal-seeking person. Perhaps it is women who may save our planet from the challenges and threats faced by humanity. Perhaps it is women who will end wars, guide the world's sustainable economic, social, spiritual progress. Progress for everyone. Taurida Palace in St. Petersburg has been hosting distinguished guests. It has been a center of international women's political, economic and social thought for 2 days. And certainly it has been a center of womanhood, graciousness and beauty. And although the next Eurasian Women's Forum is in 3 years, we men will do our best to convince the organizers to hold this event more often.